They said she would never make it. They said Amara the bush girl would never leave Umola village. But on that hot Saturday morning, the whole community gathered at the dusty bus park, not to laugh at her, but to see her off. Amara stood nervously by the old Peugeot bus that would take her to the city airport. She clutched her small wooden box tied with rope, her worn-out bag on top of it, and her passport and scholarship letter in her trembling hand. It was not just a letter. It was her key, her freedom, her proof that after all the laughter, after all the mocking, after all the whispers behind her back, she had been chosen. Her mother wiped tears from her cheeks with the edge of her wrapper. "Noam, go and make us proud. Don't forget where you come from." Old women shook their heads in disbelief. Some even said, "How? How can it be her, of all the children in this town?" Even the men who once called her useless now muttered, "God truly works in mysterious ways." Her classmates were there too. The same boys who once shouted, bush girl," now stood quietly. Some avoided her eyes. Others whispered to each other, "Is it true? Is she really going abroad?" The bus drove away, and for the first time in her life, Amara was not running away from mockery. She was running toward destiny. Hours later, she arrived at the city airport. Her eyes widened. She had never seen such a place. Glass doors that opened by themselves. Floors that shined like mirrors. Voices from loudspeakers calling names of faraway lands she had only read in books. She held her bag tighter. Her heart pounded as if it would jump out. She joined the long queue at the check-in desk, her letter pressed tightly against her chest. People around her wheeled big shiny suitcases, dressed in fine clothes. Amara stood with her rope-tied box, her faded dress, her worn sandals. She felt the stares. She heard a girl whisper to her friend, "Where is this one going? Bush Village must have sent her." They laughed softly, but Amara pretended not to hear. Then, just as she was about to step forward, a familiar voice cut through the noise. "Amara!" She froze. Slowly, she turned. Her eyes widened. Standing a few steps away was Chike, the very same Chike who used to lead the chorus of Bush Girl in school. The tall, confident boy from the town's wealthiest family, the one who had always been praised as the intelligent one, the bright future, the hope of Umola. But today, Chike's face was pale, his lips trembled, his eyes were red, not from laughter but from something else. He stepped closer, and in his hand was a white envelope. He swallowed hard and said, "Amara, I applied for the same scholarship. Everyone thought it was mine. My teachers, my parents, even me. But..." His voice broke. He opened the envelope slowly, and the big red letters screamed louder than his words, "Not selected." Gasps echoed from people nearby. Even strangers stopped to watch. Amara stared at the paper, then back at him. Chike, the proud boy, the leader of mockery, the one who once made her cry under the mango tree after school was standing before her, rejected. For a long moment, silence filled the air. The airport, usually buzzing with noise, seemed to pause. Then Chike whispered, almost too soft to hear, "I don't know how you did it, Amara, but you deserve it." Amara blinked back tears. She wanted to speak, but no words came out. She saw not her bully anymore, but a broken boy defeated not by her, but by destiny. Behind them, two of their old classmates who had come to see her off exchanged looks. One muttered, "Who would have believed? Chike, rejected, Amara, chosen." And then, something strange happened. For the first time in her life, Amara heard clapping. Not mockery, not laughter, but clapping. It began with her mother, who lifted her hands proudly. Then a few women joined. Then the men. Until the sound grew, echoing through the hall. People clapped for the girl, once called Bush Girl. Amara lifted her head slowly. For years, she had walked with eyes down, hiding her shame. But this time, her chin was high, her shoulders straight. She stepped forward to the boarding gate as if the whole world was waiting for her. As the glass doors slid open, she held her scholarship letter close. She wasn't just carrying books or a passport. She was carrying the hopes of every girl who had been mocked, every child who had been told you are nothing, every voice silenced by laughter. But deep in her heart, she knew this was only the beginning. What awaited her on the other side of the ocean would test her more than the laughter ever did. And that was where destiny had prepared its next surprise. The airplane took off, and Amara pressed her face to the window. The clouds looked like mountains of cotton, glowing golden in the sunlight. Her heart raced. She whispered to herself, "So this is what the world looks like beyond Umola." When she landed, the air was colder, the people moved faster, and the language sounded sharper. At the university abroad, Amara quickly discovered that life was not suddenly easy. She struggled to understand the lecturers at first. Her classmates laughed softly whenever she raised her hand, and her accent rolled heavily. Some would whisper, "Did you hear her?" and cover their mouths with smirks. The pain felt like the sting of her old nickname Bush Girl, but now in a foreign land. Her clothes were plain, the same old dresses she had brought from home. Her shoes grew thin from daily walks to campus. In the dining hall, while others ate expensive meals, she often kept to herself, eating rice she had cooked from her little corner. But in silence, Amara burned with determination. She would go to the library after every class, even when her eyes ached. She copied notes until her hand cramped. She stayed awake when others slept, whispering her lessons under her breath. She did not have fine clothes, but she carried something no one could buy: resilience. And slowly, her hard work began to shine. One day, an announcement was made. The university would choose one student to represent them at an international academic competition. The entire hall buzzed with excitement. Names flew around. James, the confident boy from London, Maria, the brilliant girl from Brazil, Hassan, the sharp thinker from Egypt. No one mentioned Amara, not even once. The day came. Students packed the hall. The principal opened the envelope with a smile, and then, with a steady voice, he said, "The student representing us will be Amara Joseph." The hall went silent. For a moment, you could hear the sound of pens dropping to the floor. Mouths opened in disbelief. Maria gasped. James frowned. Hassan whispered, "Who?" But Amara stood, her heart thumping. She walked to the stage, her steps slow but sure. The same name that once drew laughter now drew applause. And as she held the certificate, she thought of Umola village, of the dusty roads, of the laughter that chased her home from school. At the competition, Amara shone. Not because her English was perfect, not because her clothes were fine, but because she had lived a life of battles, and her mind was sharpened like a blade. She answered with wisdom, with clarity, with courage. And in the end, she lifted the trophy high, tears streaming down her face. News spread quickly across the seas, across the towns, until it reached Umuola. Children who once mocked her now ran through the streets, shouting her name with pride. Women who once whispered now told their daughters, "Learn from Amara." Men shook their heads, saying, "Truly, no one knows tomorrow." And Chike, the boy who once mocked her, he sat quietly in the crowd, watching her shine on the television. For the first time, he smiled, not in mockery, but in respect. When Amara finally returned home years later, she was not just Amara the bush girl, she was Amara, the daughter of destiny. The entire village welcomed her with drums and dancing. Old women ululated, children clapped. Even the chief came out to greet her. She stood tall in the village square, her voice steady as she said, "To every child who has ever been laughed at, know this: your laughter will come. Never let mockery define you, because destiny has the loudest voice." And that was how the girl once called Bush Girl became the pride of her people, the proof that greatness often hides in places the world ignores. So, what do you think of Amara's journey? If you were in her shoes, would you forgive those who mocked you, like she forgave Chike, or would you hold the pain in your heart forever? Tell us in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful African folk tales. And remember to turn on the notification bell so you never miss another story. And if you enjoyed this one, wait until you hear the next tale.